Welcome to Heaven's Kitchen. Hi, I'm Janelle. The sun is just setting on a beautiful evening in New Hampshire. Getting a little cool and crispy, perfect night to pour something warm and wonderful and get into the kitchen and make some comfort food. So I hope you'll join me. See you in a minute. Hi, welcome back into my kitchen. I'm glad you could spend some time with me today. It is a gorgeous day. It's breezy, it's crispy, the leaves are falling. This is the kind of day where you think about comfort food. And when the weather starts to change, I always think about apple and apple pie. But that requires a crust, and I want to keep it simple. So I'm going to show you how to make a really easy and really delicious apple snack cake. And then we're going to make a hearty, healthy, and warm and wonderful beef stew. So thanks for being with me. I am going to get us all set up. Let's get cooking. Here is a really great cake that brings in the flavors of the season, but it's really quick and simple, which you know I love. First thing we're gonna do, I'm just using a small 8-inch square pan. I love this pan for baking, just makes it simple. If you don't have it, just grease your pan and flour it because you just don't want your cake to stick. So I'm going to make sure that's greased nicely. So talk about simple. These are less than $1 a box. And the only reason why I'm making a small snack cake is because I want it to last as a dessert after dinner. Because if there's leftovers, every time I walk by it, I take another piece. So one little small cake will be enough for everybody. Then when Tommy goes back to school and Kayleen goes back to rehearsal and Tom gets back on an airplane, I don't eat the whole thing by myself. So this is a golden yellow cake mix. You're just gonna put that into a nice bowl. Let me move this over here. We need 1 egg. We need 1/2 cup of water. And we're just gonna nicely mix up our cake mix. And as I do that, I'm going to preheat my trusty Mary to 350, and going to show you how simple this is. Once you get this all blended, our little topping is basically the same concept that you would use to make an apple pie. But because it's just a snack cake, I'm going to make the apple pieces a little bit smaller than I would for a pie. So that is all blended up and looking great. And I always love to do this time of year. I always love to challenge myself because you know I don't peel potatoes, but when you're doing a cake, I don't think that the skin of the apple should be there. So I have my little paring knife, and I am not really a television person, but I love a great sappy romantic movie. And every time I do this, I think of that scene when Meg Ryan was listening to the radio. I think she was hiding in the closet. And Tom Hanks was talking about his wife who used to peel an apple with a knife and go all the way around it without breaking the skin. So this is my challenge to myself every apple season, and I didn't do it, so I'd never make the movie. So I'm gonna peel up 2 apples, and then I'm going to pull together all my little delicious spices that I put on them. So hang in and I'll be right back. I'm just peeling up my second apple. I didn't do that one successfully either, but that's okay. And now, I don't know if you've ever seen these little gadgets, but I like it. It works for me. You certainly don't need it, but you just put it on the apple. The hardest part is to get it centered. And I literally have to put my whole body into it. And if you do it straight, which I just didn't do, it will core the apple for you. And make some cool slices. Oh, delicious. So, I'm just gonna make these slices smaller. Maybe about little cubes. Then we'll take the little cubes, we're gonna put them into a bowl, and I'm gonna show you what I use for a delicious, warm, wonderful spice to go on it. So, let's get these apples all chopped up and get the seeds out of here. Okay, this is a French toast, sugar and spice. Oh, smells unbelievable. So I'm just gonna sprinkle that over the apples, and then I'm also going to sprinkle some apple pie spice. And you just basically sprinkle enough to coat it. Then I'm going to grab some white sugar, put a couple of tablespoons of white sugar. Then we're gonna pour the batter into our pan and sprinkle the apples on top. I'll give you a good look at it because I'm up here all by myself, so I am my own camera woman. And then I'm gonna pop it into the oven. I'll be right back. Mary's all preheated, so we're gonna put our delicious little apple snack cake into the oven, 350, I'd say 20 minutes. I'm not doing convection today because I want it to go nice and slow and let those apples bake because it's gonna smell great. Another thing, because I don't like to waste anything, let me set the timer so I don't forget. I just put a little bit of water on the stove and got it going. I take my apple peels and plop them right in, and I throw in a little bit of cinnamon, and I throw in a couple of cloves, and just while you're hanging out in the kitchen playing around, it makes the most incredible potpourri you can imagine. The kids will come in and say, "What is that?" And it smells like hot apple cider, and it just makes the kitchen awesome. So, have that going while you're playing around. So I'm going to just clean up our apples, get the beef out of the refrigerator, and let's get started on our nice, cozy, warm, wonderful beef stew. I'll be right back. Let's get started on our beef stew. I put my potpourri on the back burner, and boy, does it smell good in here. So we are going to start with some stew beef. Obviously, your amount's dependent upon how many people you want to feed. I treated myself and I bought the Super Sirloin Deluxe today. I usually buy just a chuck because a beef stew is like a pot roast. It's gonna sit, hopefully for a while. The longer you let it go, the longer you simmer it, the more moist and tender the meat will be. But because I knew once I started smelling it, I'd get hungry, I went for a better cut today. So my usuals, onion powder, garlic powder, and before I do my Sicilian seasoning, I want to get some olive oil in my pan, which I've got getting hot right now. Oh, it's getting good and hot because my oil's already talking to me. Okay, my Sicilian seasoning. We're going to get our stew beef right in there and get that. Oh yeah, sizzling up. It's actually hotter than I really need it to be. So let's turn that down a smidge. Oh boy. The minute delicious beef with seasonings like onion and garlic hit a pan, wow, smells fantastic. Okay, let's chill this down just a bit. Get that out of our way. Now let's get going on our veggies. Now you can do whatever you like in your beef stew. Everybody has personal taste. I like it pretty straightforward. I do onion to start my pan when my beef is in there. So I'll get going on that real quick. Don't need a lot. I just like the flavor, so I'm going to throw some in. And as the beef gets soft, the onions will too. My Tom's not a big onion fan, so in something like this, they literally just melt away because they stay so long, so I can sneak them in. And because I put it in everything, I'm going to put a little bit of garlic in. See if I can get that loosened up a little bit. Ooh, that's a good, fresh, tight bulb of garlic. Okay, just one little clove. And I think I told you before, you don't want to put garlic into a hot pan. So I'm going to go ahead and get this ready, but I'm going to let that come down a little bit because if I burn the garlic, it creates a bitter flavor that I absolutely do not want to put in my stew. I am going to grab my peeler and start peeling up this carrot. Find a bowl to put my peelings in here. Okay. And now, the only thing that you need to be aware of when you're doing something like a beef stew, I love to get up early, get it on the stove, then I can go out and about and do my thing, and I like to make sure that it's just at the point where I can transfer it into a crock pot, so then it can sit and basically just tenderize and get richer and thicker and better while I'm off doing other things. So if you wanted to do a beef stew for a weeknight or a quicker version, then it's important that the pieces of your vegetables and the pieces of your stew meat are compatible in size, because obviously it's going to take a little bit longer if you've got big pieces. So what I do with my carrot is very small pieces. At the end of the narrow part of the carrot, I just throw in just like that. But when you get to the thicker part, I just make it a little smaller. Ooh, our timer. That means our beautiful apple cake is done. I could have guessed because I can smell it. Let me just get this carrot in. And then I'll grab my pot holders and let's check that out. Oh, yum. This looks sensational. I'm going to just put it on the counter for a minute and we'll come right back to the stew. That cake sure came out terrific, and our beef stew is cranking right along here. Had to interrupt it just momentarily. Okay, so this is doing just what I want. It's at a little bit higher than a simmer, but not significantly higher. Okay, let's get the rest of these veggies in there. A few more carrots. And same deal as far as sizes of how you're going to cut it with your potato. I already rinsed my potatoes. Where did I put them? Okay, same situation. You don't want them to be too big because you want everything to cook uniformly and be ready at the same time. So let's go ahead and plop those in too. And now I will show you. My mom is the greatest gravy maker on the planet. I, without her, tend to take shortcuts, especially when I'm up here. So all you're gonna do, now that you've got this wonderful stuff going in here, is you're gonna pop a can of beef broth, and once the meat is completely cooked, which it is after I took a little break to get that delicious cake out, the meat finished up. So you're gonna put your beef broth in, and just like we did when we made a minestrone soup, now you can crank up your heat, okay? Because basically what you wanna do is let this cook just like a soup. And after about maybe 20 minutes or so of letting it boil away and soften up your vegetables, then we're gonna thicken it up and make it more like a stew than a soup. So let's get this in. I'm gonna put my heat up just a bit. And I'm actually, because I've added so much liquid, I'm losing, obviously, heat in the pan. So I'm gonna put the cover on it. Gonna let it come back up to a boil. We'll take a look at it in 15 minutes or so. Because I cut the vegetables pretty small, we can stick a fork in them and test them then, and then we'll just thicken it up. I also have delicious fresh green beans that I wanna put in as well. The only thing that I have to do to these is basically, I just use my nail. You just pop off the end that has the little stem on it, and then you can plop them right in. But what I'm gonna do is just do that, take a quick break. I'm gonna make them a little bit smaller because I want them to be bite-sized. But because carrots and potatoes are gonna take a while longer, I'll give these, maybe let this get going for 5 minutes, and then I'll add my green beans. Then, as I say, we'll thicken it up, and gonna be delicious. I have myself a nice red Shiraz that I think will go great with it. Might just pour a glass right now while I'm waiting for things to get going. Hang in with me and I'll be right back. It smells incredible in here. Between my potpourri that's simmering in the back with the clove and the cinnamon and the beautiful apple cake that's just been fragrancing my kitchen, and now our stew is just at that perfect point. It's been about 20-25 minutes. All the vegetables have softened, and the broth, because we've got it at a rapid boil, similar to a soup, is reducing and concentrating. So I always test it. I tend to buy low sodium chicken stock and beef stock because I want to control that myself. Oh, that tastes perfect, just the way it is. So to thicken it, to create a stew out of a soup, it is as simple as taking 1 tablespoon of Wondra flour. The reason why I like Wondra, it's sifted. It's very, very fine, and it works beautifully to make gravies, cream sauces. So you're gonna take 1 tablespoon of that and put it with 1/4 cup of cold water. It has to be cold because it's gonna lump up if it's not. And you're just gonna make sure that's as smooth as can be, which it is. And now you just do a little at a time to see how much you really need. I still have this at a rolling boil, so I am going to put a little bit in, and I'm just gonna let it do its thing And pretty instantaneously, when you have a rolling boil going, you're going to see your broth thicken right up. So that is all you need to make an absolutely delicious beef stew. I am now definitely going to pour that glass of wine. I'm going to get myself a beautiful bowl. I even have some nice biscuits to go with it. So I'll see you in a sec. I have myself a beautiful steaming bowl of beef stew. The only thing I have to decide now is fork or spoon. I really want to thank you for joining me. It's been a lot of fun. I hope you'll get in touch and tell me what your favorite comfort foods are. Maybe we'll put them on the next show. So until I see you again, may God bless you and keep you, and may your kitchen be full of good food, good friends, and lots of good fun. See you next time. Salute.
Center stage. Hey there. Hey there. Hey there. Hey there.
I had to step outside and get this last bit of fresh air before it gets really chilly and really dark. Thank you so much for being with me, and I hope you'll check out our website, www.heavenskitchenwithjanelle.com. Send me an email and tell me what your favorite comfort foods are. I'm going to do what my dad would always do. I'm going to go walk the lower 40. Thank you so much for being with me, and I'll see you next time.